Hello everybody out there, welcome to another video of our ToniSport Newsfeed series. Today we want to talk a little bit about Lipo batteries. The video about the Lipo batteries today will be not very specific, but it will be interesting because the market of Lipo batteries is very interesting. It is changing from year to year. The technology goes further and further. Everything gets improved and more slim, small, light, tiny and sweet. And you can do a lot in case of performance with your batteries in the car. And that's what we want to talk about. I mean, when you maybe race RC cars since the 80s, the 90s or the early 2000s, you will remember the good old days when we raced with 5 or 6 nickel metal hybrid cells, which was interesting because it was always a little bit thrilling if you can make it over the 5 minutes with the capacity, which was a little bit limited, and you had to do a lot of care about your battery packs. You had to discharge all the cells one by one in small discharging boxes and stuff like that. It was very time demanding. But when the Lipo batteries came out, all these things were not necessary anymore. And on the other side, on one side, it's really cool to have the Lipo batteries nowadays. And it was a very easy thing in the last years. But as the market and the development never stops, we now, since a couple of years, have a lot of different options when we have to buy a Lipo battery. I mean, when you click onto your favorite hobby shop's site and you will check out how many different Lipo batteries are available, it's really crazy. And sometimes it's not easy to pick the right one. So to pick the right battery pack, it is important for yourself to know, okay, how is my racing program looking for this season? Do I only run stock? Do I run stock and modified? Is it more off-road, more on-road? Is the track I'm mostly running on super small? Is it really big? Because when you have to make a choice which battery pack to buy, there are a lot of small things you have to keep in mind. First of all, I want to show you an example. In this video you will see my LRP batteries which I use, but this should not be an all about LRP batteries video. That's I want to point out first. It's only for an example, and if you are now going to buy new Lipo batteries, you can definitely buy all the batteries from the big RC manufacturers, from the brands you know. It doesn't really matter if you're using an LRP battery, a Sunpedo, a Silverback, an Orca, a Gens Ace, a much more. And all these companies on the market, they all produce really good batteries. And as far as I know, there are only a handful big companies in Asia who are producing all these Lipo batteries. So when you buy a battery from one of these well-known brands, there is not a big chance that you get a real bad battery pack. Okay, so in this case, what is important when you have to choose a battery pack? I will show you 3 shorty packs which are here in the pocket, and you can easily see that they are in a different case. They have different capacities and they have a different height and a different weight. So the thing is, when you run a stock class, you need maximum punch and maximum power, and this is the most important thing for you, to have a good punch over the whole runtime. So in this case, when we have these 3 battery packs here, for example, you would go, when you run in the front wheel drive class, for example, you would go with the 4900 pack when you have to choose it from those 3 packs. This is the most heavy and the most highest pack from these 3 here on the table, but it will have the best punch over the 5 minutes, because it seems like the battery packs with a higher capacity, they will have a better discharge curve and more punch for stock racing. But on the other side, if you're running on a small asphalt or a small carpet track and you run modified, where you don't need that much of punch, you will go with the super slim, super small and super light 4000 battery pack, because the difference now in weight between these 3 packs here on the table is really big. The 4000 pack has only a weight of 150 grams and the 49 is at, I think, 215 or 220. So we have 60 or 70 grams of a difference between these 2 packs. And the capacity difference is only 900 milliamps. So if you don't need these 4900 milliamps, it's a huge benefit to go with the small and light battery pack, because the weight you are saving with this one you can use in the car on the chassis to play with your weight balance. You can first achieve a perfect left to right weight balance, because you can add the weights wherever you need them, and you can experiment with front and right, front and rear, a wide distribution and stuff like that. And when the power is more than enough, that's the best solution for yourself. Another benefit is the low center of gravity. As flatter as the battery is, as lower the CG goes, and the handling of the car will improve. The car will not lean from side to side so much. It will stay more flat on the track, and you can really feel a difference when you go from a super high and heavy battery to a small and slimline, a flat one. You can feel that handling benefit on the track, definitely. So what I want to tell you with this example here, with these 3 packs, you can copy and paste it for the full size packs as well, for the standard 2S race packs. There are available so many different ones. I mean, when you are now going to race 13.5 stock touring car, for example, on a huge outdoor track, you will see the most top guys use big batteries with maybe 8200 milliamps. And these battery packs, they will come in with a weight of 300 or 320 grams. So huge and heavy battery packs. They have to get the car balanced with these battery packs and to use some weights on the electronic side and all these things. But in the end, the drivers will tell you that the huge punch and the huge power they will have with this battery pack will give them a bigger advantage than maybe a left and right balance which is not perfectly. So when they will go with a lighter pack and the left and right balance would be absolutely perfect, but when the power drop of this smaller battery is bigger and they will get slower in the end of the run, the better balance will not help them at any point. So it is always about you to find the perfect situation, the perfect compromise between the power you need and the best possible balance you can achieve with a battery pack in your car. So that's the reason why there are so many different sizes and weights and heights of battery packs out on the market, because we have a lot of different classes. We run touring car modified indoors and outdoors. Indoors you can now go with shorties, outdoor definitely not, only when the track is super small. But when you run modified on a medium-sized outdoor track, you don't need an 8000 milliamps battery pack. There's maybe a 5.3 or a 5.7 more than enough. And between these battery packs, there are a lot of differences with the weight. And always keep in mind, whatever you save in battery weight, you can use to balance your car better and more precisely on the racetrack you are racing on. And this is something you should always have in mind when you order new battery packs. Some guys, they use universal battery packs for the whole season. They say, hey, I'm fine with them. I know what the weight is, I know what the handling is and how to play with my weight balance, and that's pretty perfect. If you find a good compromise for yourself, you should go with that solution. If you run on a lot of different tracks, if you're maybe traveling around your country a lot and do different classes, then this stuff is a little bit more difficult, because if you want to be competitive, then you have to maybe use a box of batteries with some different ones. You need some batteries for stock racing, you need some batteries for modified racing. Sometimes you race off-road as well, then you need some different shorty packs. And on the other side, it's really cool that the market offers all these options for us now, and we can balance and dial in the car as perfect as we never could before some years ago. But yeah, it's kind of a situation where everybody has to find the perfect way for themselves. But yeah, what I want to tell you is that there are so many options, and all these options can bring you benefits when you when you find the right decisions for yourself. Okay, always try to use the lightest possible battery pack with the power you need. That's, I think, a good way to go, because you can do so much with the weight balance in your car, and the benefits will be really big when you have the perfect balanced car on the track with a battery pack which is delivering the power that you need. Okay, when we now talk about the storage of the batteries when you're traveling, I mean, it's really simple. When you're traveling by airplanes, it's a little bit more complicated. You cannot carry 20 different Lipo packs with you. There are some restrictions. You always have to check the airline's websites for the travel restrictions, and they will point out how many Lipo batteries with how many watt hours you can carry on board. That shouldn't be a problem then. But when you go with your car, when you're traveling around in Europe or on your country, it's not a big problem. I mean, there are a lot of different beautiful cases which allow you to carry the batteries well sorted in a good way, such as this one here from MR33. It's a beautiful hard case with a zipper, and there you can carry all your Lipo batteries. You can also use your Lipo safe bag for the transportation. There you also can put in some batteries. That's very, very simple. It is really important that you always bring a Lipo safe bag to the racetrack with yourself. I mean, if you are new in the hobby and you haven't been to a lot of different racetracks, always bring a safe bag with yourself, because it is only allowed to charge the Lipo battery in a safe bag. And that's a really good rule, because when a battery pack will get in any trouble during the charging process and it will catch fire, this Lipo bag will protect all the people around the battery pack from a huge fire. And the first moment is always coming out, and the Lipo bag can prevent the stuff and the people around from bigger damages. So always try to charge in a Lipo bag. When we're talking about chargers right now, it is important that you have a good charger to get the best performance and a good lifetime from the Lipo batteries. When you are on racetracks and you check which chargers the people use the most, I think at the moment you will see a lot of Yunzi I chargers on the tables. That seems to be a real good charging device with all the functions you need, with enough power for charging and with a high discharging amps, which is also very important. If you have to discharge a battery pack, it is good to have a charger which can do 10, 15 or 20 amps of discharging. And I think that's really important as well. When we talk about the charging, I only can tell you that a lot of guys discharge the battery pack when they are at a race before they charge it. So they have to find a good timing. They have to know how long it takes to discharge the pack and how long it takes to charge it afterwards. And when you find the perfect timing before the run, you can do it like this. Discharge the battery pack with 20 amps to maybe, I don't know, 3.4, 3.5 volts per cell. And when it's discharged, then start to charge it immediately with 12 amps. That's a process which makes really sense, because during the discharging process, the battery gets, the chemistry of the battery gets activated, the battery pack gets a little bit warm inside, and when you charge it afterwards, you will get a little bit more performance and punch out of your battery pack, because the internal resistance is a little bit lower after the discharging process. And this is something a lot of guys are doing when they are racing and compete at the highest level, to get the latest and last punch out of the battery pack. When you're practicing, you don't have to do that all the time, definitely not, but it's good for the battery pack, and it's good in case of performance to discharge it and charge it directly afterwards before the heat. It's a timing sensitive process, but you have to get used to it when you try it during a practice day. You can write down how long it took, and then you know it when you are racing the next time. Always try to care about your batteries. Always try to keep them clean, to protect them from dirt, debris, water and stuff like that. Always carry them in a safe bag. And one last thing I always do with my battery packs, the outside of the battery pack, which points to the outside of the car, sometimes scrubs the ground or gets in contact with a barrier or a curb. And when you don't want that your battery pack looks really ugly after 2 or 3 weeks, I always use some clear tape, some clear tesa or packaging tape, and I always put it here on the outside of the battery pack to protect the sticker of the battery pack, to make it look beautiful for a longer time. And once you maybe sell your battery packs as second-hand ones, you can remove the clear tape and the battery pack looks always like a new one. That's a pro tip, I think. So I think I hope that you understand what I want to talk about today. The market is really dynamic and the battery packs are changing from season to season. The manufacturers, they always give us new options. Try to make the best out of the options the market is giving you to go faster on the track. And it makes sense, as I said before, to play around with all these things, and especially when it comes to low center of gravity, saving some weight, using the weight for better balances. It's real interesting, and it makes it's funny, and it's a huge good feeling when you feel the car even better on the track after you played around with these kind of things. I hope you enjoyed our little Lipo battery overview. It is only some small tips for yourself, not too deep into detail about the inside of a Lipo battery, because that's too special for myself. Thank you for watching the video. Race with ToniSport, you will never race alone. I hope that we see us very soon on a racetrack here around in Europe. And until then, enjoy the hobby and thanks for watching. Goodbye.